The views and opinions expressed on the Hard Time Podcast are of the hosts and guests individually. The Hard Time Podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not affiliated with any entity, agency, or department. Human beings have thoughts and feelings that do not necessarily affect the professional performance of their duties.
Welcome once again to the Hard Time Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Motherfucker Welder. I'm representing myself, not associated with any department or agency, not representing anyone when I'm doing the podcast. Just a lowly sergeant that works in a jail in the American Southwest, and my agency doesn't care that I do this podcast, so they don't see a problem with it. We don't get into specifics here. Don't reveal identities. I use a pseudonym here. Don't reveal my location. Don't reveal my agency, and don't get into sharing other people's identities. I've had other people on the show that I've worked with before. Don't share their identities either. So we keep that stuff off the books. But it's I'm pre-recording a few episodes here for the podcast, so I'm not sure exactly when these episodes will drop. That's just kind of the nature of the show now. Just did one with John. That was nice. It was serendipitous when things work out and we're able to work together and do like OG old school Hard Time, but occasionally you'll get just me or just John doing it. This is kind of a hard time after dark for me. On a weekend, I was at an undisclosed location in the mountains, spending some time with family this weekend. I did some work. Work was work this week. I doing a lot of computer work and stuff. Didn't really interact a whole lot with admin. Didn't really get in the back a whole lot. Nothing super exciting going on. Not a whole lot to discuss there. Stuff coming up. We got meetings and stuff coming up. Things that'll be going on here in the near future, but nothing super exciting. I guess we had a guy that he made it 2 days and then just no call, no showed. Just couldn't hack it after 2 days. So that kind of sucks. He won't be here for the holidays, won't be here for the new year. Won't be here to fill that void for the agency. So it's next man up. We hired somebody as a temporary to kind of fill the void for somebody that's that's serving. He's in the armed forces, serving in a capacity where he's been called up. So we have somebody that's been able to get hired on a temporary status to fill that void. And now that somebody is not taking a full-time position, that person will be able to step into the full-time position, and then we can hire another temporary person. So that happens a lot where somebody gets hired on as a temp and then it turns into the full-time position very quickly. So very rarely do they end up staying in that temporary position. They very often get offered the full-time position if we like them, if they stick around for any length of time. So I guess that's probably the most interesting news at work. It was good to spend some time with family. I wasn't feeling tip-top shape the last few days, so kind of took it easy. But we doing some stuff around the ranch property there. There's always a lot of chores and stuff that need to be done, and um, help out with some stuff around there, kind of in exchange for being able to stay up there. And yeah, did some clearing some land and burning some stuff up that some trees that had been felled and stuff earlier that because it was kind of rainy and snowy. So good time to burn up some of the kind of junkier wood, that stuff that won't be good firewood. So we were working on doing a little bit of that. Spent a lot of time with the kids, some projects, did some stuff with them. So that was good. Some stuff that might be coming up for possibly for hard time too. Worked out some things that we might get some things that we might be able to have for giveaways and stuff for hard time. So that's a possibility. Some things in the future um, that we might be able to work out. So um, I was able to give my logo to somebody that might be able to turn those into some products that we could, um, you know, end up giving away to our loyal listeners, because there's only, so many of you that are out there. So it'll only be the basically the cost of shipping for me to be able to say thank you for your patronage. So we may end up doing that here at some point. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. I will um, let you know what kind of things and stuff we end up putting the logo on, and then every so often we'll probably be giving a little bit of those things away, probably around Christmas and New Year's and stuff. Um, so I guess that handles that sort of business. The story I was going to get into, um, a lot of people have heard, as a result of Diddy's legal troubles, Sean P Diddy Combs. I remember just when he was P Diddy back in the day, um, back when he was before even J Lo. Um, but he's this is a jail show. We talk about jail shit. So as a result of his freak offs and trafficking, and the trials over, and all those things have come to a close, and now it's time for him to do his time. And where else should Diddy do his time than at New Jersey's Fort Dix? Seems to be appropriate for somebody that is a connoisseur of baby oil and the sort of acts and stuff that Diddy's into, that he be able to serve his time at Fort Dix. So that seems to be appropriate for somebody with his proclivities. So that's where he'll be doing at least the lion's share of his time. So I have an article here from the New York Post by Tracy Wright of Fox News, published on October 30th, 2025. So we'll get into the details here of him doing his time here. It says, Sean Diddy Combs was transferred to Fort Dix on Thursday morning to begin serving time on federal sex crimes, Fox News Digital has confirmed. Diddy, 55, was sentenced to more than 4 years behind bars in October after being convicted in July on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. So all of those pallets of baby oil, he got 2 counts. The fallen rap mogul is scheduled to be released from prison on May 8th, 2028, according to Federal Bureau of Prisons. In addition to the 50-month, so it's a little over what they're saying, 50-month sentence, Diddy will have 5 years of supervised release and pay a $50,000 fine or $500,000 fine. The prosecution recommended 135 months, just over 11 years, for his sentencing. The Last Night rapper has been behind bars at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center since his arrest September 16th, 2024. His lawyer, Terry Generos, filed a letter on October 6th asking that Judge Aaron Submarian ask for the Bureau of Prisons to suggest Fort Dix for her client. In the letter, obtained by Fox News Digital, Garagos said that Combs would be able to address drug abuse issues and maximize family visitation and rehabilitative efforts in the prison RDAP program. A jury convicted Diddy on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution on July 2nd. Sorry, there's a lot of pop-ups on this. RDAP program. A jury convicted Diddy on 2 counts of transportation July 2nd. The I'll Be Missing You rapper was acquitted on the most serious charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. The prosecution claimed Diddy deserves a substantial prison sentence because the rapper is unrepentant in sentencing recommendation filed earlier this month. According to his lawyers, Diddy has been subjected to constant suicide watch while behind bars. Other instances of the alleged inhumane conditions the rapper has been subjected to included limited access to clean water, food with maggots in it, no physical therapy, lack of physical exercise, and no functioning washing machine or dryer. Days before Diddy was set to appear for court for his sentencing, Judge Submarian rejected the rapper's last-ditch request for a new trial and demanded a full acquittal. The judge said the prosecution provided overwhelming evidence of Diddy's guilt on the charges of transportation to engage in prostitution. So tried to get him off. Just asked for an acquittal at the last second. Well, I guess he wasn't doing well. Had a lot of complaints about the Metropolitan Detention Center. A lot of people do. A lot of people complain about that place. I guess there's not a lot of frills there. I will give them that. I don't know if it's they have food with maggots in it. That might be a little bit of a stretch. You're not Most prisons not going to have access to your own washer and dryer for things like you're going to have laundry service most of the time. You're not going to have your own personal laundry. Like that's just yeah, limited access to clean water. Like is he refusing to use the water that he has access to in his cell? I mean, I get that, like the all-in-one toilet, water, and you know, hand washing station is not like ideal for most people, but it works. It's considered sanitary enough. It's what everybody uses in jails all around the country. So, if he objects to it, I get that. Most people wouldn't wouldn't care for it, but it is what it is. You can complain about it all you want, but you have access to clean water, what's considered potable water. Like it's fine. No physical therapy, lack of physical exercise. I mean, if there are, that's why um, you have square footage requirements and stuff in your cell, is so that you have enough space for physical exercise, and then you have time outside your cell. How you spend your time outside your cell is up to you. If you do not choose to exercise while you're outside your cell, that's up to you. You know, the physical exercise, like they don't have to take you to a gym for you to exercise. Walking, if you go out and ambulate, like that is physical exercise. Like that is considered exercise. You know, if if you can object all you want, but like they don't have to take you to a gymnasium. They don't have to have equipment that you want. They don't have to have a fucking Pilates studio, a personal trainer. Like you're not gonna necessarily have that access to that kind of stuff. Like physical therapy, that's a big one. For it's kind of like when Com Center was going over the Donna Adelson stuff. Um, and we talked about it a little bit too. Um, with Donald Adelson, it's like, she can request stuff in jail. You can ask for physical therapy and stuff. You can ask for things, but like you're not always going to get what you want. And especially with matters of health, um, you can request for things, but you can ask for PT, but they can say that it's not medically necessary. You can ask for um, prescriptions and stuff, and like you're going to get a different level of care when you're in a detention facility because they're going to give you what they deem medically necessary. It's a little different. They're going to give you the most basic level of care because you're not a patient that is, you're earning your own health insurance and your health insurance is paying for everything. Everything is being paid for by the Department of Corrections, by the taxpayers. So they're very careful on what they dole out. Also, they're very careful with what they do as far as physical exercise, PT, what they give out as far as prescriptions, because you can have injuries and stuff with physical exercise and PT, and you can have medications and stuff can be abused. So they're very careful with those things. Uh, Even something simple for physical therapy, you could have items and stuff that they give you to be used for physical therapy that can be abused and misused. You could have resistance bands and things like that. They can be used. They could be used for contraband. They can be abused. Anybody can be that guy that fucks it up for everybody else, that takes something that could be used for physical therapy, that could be used in a beneficial way for themselves, but they use it for something other than its benefit, than its intended use, and then they don't want to give it to anybody because somebody misused it and fucked it up. So now they don't want to give it to Sean P Diddy Combs because somebody misused it in the past. So sorry, not sorry. Like, that's just kind of the way it is. You know, it sounds like making excuses. It sounds like people are just trying to be a pain in the ass, but it's the way it is. So, we'll get into a few stories here of some things that are going on with Diddy in jail, some things that have gone on with him, some things he's facing, and some things that are possibly going on. I think some things are being kind of sensationalized and brought up that may be happening, may not be happening. We get into a little bit of that. This is an article by CBS News. Sean Diddy Combs' life in prison includes a job in the chapel, drug treatment, and discipline over a banned phone call. Sean Diddy Combs is spending early prison days working in the chapel and enrolled in an intensive drug treatment program. According to prison documents exclusively obtained by CBS News, he has also found himself facing disciplinary action for an authorized phone call just days after being transferred to a prison in New Jersey, with the looming possibility of temporarily losing his phone and commissary privileges as a result. Welcome to prison. Things that you would, simple things that you would do in the outside world will get you in hot water in jail. Like, there are simple rules that you need to follow that are huge security concerns for us that people wouldn't think have a second thought about in the outside world. So we'll get into that. Combs was moved to Fort Dix prison October 30th after being sentenced to more than 4 years on prostitution-related charges. The photo below, obtained by CBS News, was taken for prison records upon his arrival. The documents offer a glimpse at how the hip-hop mogul is spending his prison days. In a hard-to-get-into treatment program on a coveted work assignment, even as he is accused of flouting a prison rule. A prestigious work assignment. Combs is working in the as a chaplain's assistant, which is considered one of the more desirable assignments at the Fort Dix prison. A former prison commissioner told CBS News, "The tasks vary, but typically inmates maintain the chaplain's religious library, clean their office, and help with some record keeping." I believe that a similar job was held by John Wayne Gacy. So just food for thought. Combs' publicist, Judah Engelmeyer, told CBS News he works in the chapel library where he describes the environment as warm, respectful, and rewarding. What makes the assignment especially desirable is that he has prestige within the prison. The former commissioner said, it allows the inmate to work in a private office, often with air conditioning. And chaplains frequently bring in food for religious services, which can be shared with the assistant. A corrections officer who worked in the federal prisons for more than 20 years told CBS News the chapel is one of the only places where inmates can congregate freely. Chaplains can also allow their assistants to prepare a call-out list, which tells officers which inmates are allowed to leave their cell to go to programs or medical appointments. Assistants could add their connections or friends to the list. Combs, who said he was raised Catholic, has spoken publicly about not identifying with any specific denomination, although he has said in recent years referenced God several times. Or he has in recent years referenced God several times. In 2017, he wrote on social media, "God puts us through things for a reason." And he was seen reading the Bible in courtroom during his trial. An unauthorized team call. Within a few days of his arrival at the prison, Combs found himself in trouble. he made a 3-person call on November 3rd in violation of prison rules. He told officials it was a conversation with his legal team about issuing a statement to the New York Times. The Bureau of Prisons prohibits inmates from adding multiple people to a call, and inmates can only speak to people on the prison phones from previously approved call lists under long-standing security rules. According to documents, he called an unnamed woman about halfway through their call. Combs said he needed to talk with someone described as the digital person regarding blogs. The woman asked Combs if she should add the person to the call, and he said yes. Combs spoke briefly with the woman about arranging visitors for the weekend and suggested they bring cash, 200 singles. There's no indication as how he intended to use the money. Prison regulations bar visitors from bringing in currency other than coins for vending machines. After they finished speaking about visitation, the woman added an unknown male to the call, circumventing prison rules. Combs later explained that he was speaking to his attorney, and she added the head of legal communications to work on a statement for his approval to be sent to the Times. He said they were not talking about blogs. It was not made clear why Combs was putting together a statement for the news organization. Multi-person calls are banned in prison because of concerns that inmates could use them to coordinate criminal activity, such as drug smuggling, gang violence, or witness intimidation. However, such calls can also be used for more innocent purposes, such as talking to two loved ones at the same time, or just talking to anybody that's not on your approved list, which is what was just brought up. You're only supposed to be talking to people on your approved list. If you're adding people mid-call, you can add anybody you'd like, right? That's that's a concern. You could be adding a criminal, somebody who is a criminal. You could be adding, you know, anybody. That's the concern. It could be literally anyone, and it would not be recorded. It would not. There's no way to record it. There's no way to control who that is. That's added to the phone call. So that's why it's not allowed, because we need to maintain control of, and record and make sure that it's approved people that they're contacting. Because if it's somebody that they're not supposed to be speaking to, who are they talking to? Are they intimidating witnesses? We've seen that happen. Are they, contacting people that are, criminals within their organization that they're not supposed to be contacting? That's possible. Coordinating gang activity. Um, you know, it could be a lot of things. Yes, it could be, hey, I want to talk to my mom and my sister at the same time. Yes, it could possibly be that. Most of the time, that's not it. They're playing devil's advocate here. They're trying to argue, well, it could be innocent. Yes, it could be, but 80% of the time, it's not that innocent, in my experience. One correctional officer told CBS News, for example, to call their girlfriend, then ask them to add their mother. The source added that inmates run the risk of getting caught, but no corrections officers can't truly monitor the thousands of calls taking place within the federal prisons daily. There are over 4,100 inmates at Fort Dix alone. According to prison documents, Combs said no one had informed him about the regulation on phone calls, and he never received the prison admission and orientation handbook. So he's claiming that he didn't know, which It's possible, but not likely. It's entirely possible that he knew that he shouldn't do this. Prison officials recommended Combs lose 90 days of phone privileges, phone privileges, and 90 days of commissary privileges for the infraction. Their ruling filed on November 4th, Combs' 56th birthday. It's unclear if the recommendation penalty has been implemented. This is a serious offense that shows a disregard for the rules, a source close to the investigation said. Engelmeyer told CBS News it was a procedural call initiated by one of his attorney who was protected under the attorney-client privilege. There was nothing improper. Bull fucking shit. Like there's it was the if your attorney is saying that there's nothing improper and arguing, then that's a red flag. That's showing that there's probably something improper about it. I've told the story before about, you know, attorneys doing three-way calls and doing calls for inmates calling in for legal calls and then hanging up and then allowing just to give inmates extra phone calls and stuff. So the lawyers are the worst at manipulating the phone system. So Combs' lead attorney, Mayor Mark Ingefilo, did not comment. So it's possible he knows this bullshit. An intensive drug treatment program. Combs had been assigned to the Residential Drug Abuse Treatment Program, RDAP unit, known as the Bureau's most intensive drug treatment program. Correctional officials told CBS News that inmates need to qualify for the program, and one source said the most inmates don't get placed in RDAP at the start of their sentence. Sentences can be reduced by up to 1 year participating in the drug treatment program, according to the Bureau of Prisons. Mr. Combs is an active participant in the residential drug abuse program and has taken rehabilitation process seriously from the start, Engelmeyer said. He is fully engaged in his work, focused on growth, and committed to positive change. Combs' lawyer had written to the judge presiding over his case, Aaron Sumerian, to strongly recommend that Combs be allowed to address his drug abuse issues and to maximize family visitation and rehabilitative efforts. During his trial, Combs' attorneys referred to his drug abuse as his primary driver of his infamous freak-offs. In a letter to the judge before sentencing, Combs blamed drugs and excess for his actions and said he was now sober for the first time in 25 years. Adding he had been trying his best to deal with my drug abuse and anger issues. Prison will change you or kill you. I choose to live, Combs wrote in the sentencing memo. Yeah, we'll get into a little bit more of that. How much prison is going to change Combs. Yeah, he blames drugs. I mean, it definitely could be a contributing factor, but you can't tell me that you were fucked up every hour of every day. And that's why you were choosing to do this. Like, you had to have some moments where you were so, I wouldn't say sober, but moments where you weren't completely fucked up, that you still were choosing to do this, choosing to, victimize people. Yeah. This is From Yahoo Entertainment, Diddy facing horrible living conditions at Fort Dix as rapper's prison term gets extended. Fresh insight about Sean Diddy Combs' new prison facility, Fort Dix, has emerged, revealing a deplorable state of things that could leave the embattled rapper distressed. So, yeah, this is. There's a couple different. It's interesting the different perspectives just based off of which article you go with. Either this is a facility that was mentioned, like this is a premier facility that has this wonderful program that's going to save Sean P Diddy Combs, or it's this awful facility that has deplorable conditions. Not much unlike MDC in Brooklyn, where he's going to have maggots in his food and going to be facing some different things here. We'll get into that. Real Housewives of New Jersey alum Joe Giudice, I guess, opened up about the low-key demeanor Diddy would have to portray in the low security cell, explaining that his fate depends on how he carries himself. Sean Diddy Combs was earlier pictured getting acquainted with his fellow inmates in the prison yard weeks after he asked to be transferred from the MDC in Brooklyn. Amid Diddy's incarceration, former Ron J. star John Giudice has opened up about what it's like at Fort Dix, telling Us Weekly that the rapper's new home is a far cry from the rehabilitative haven his lawyer had hoped for. Giudice, who had served 41 months behind bars at Fort Dix, was indicted on federal fraud charges in 2013, shared that Diddy's fate would depend largely on how he carries himself. As long as he keeps a low profile and doesn't try to act like a big shot, he'll be fine. The 53-year-old reality star TV shared. I've seen how people get stabbed over an onion. You ain't in there with the most stable people, he continued. John Giudice speaks out on the pros and cons of the rapper's new prison facility. I'm probably butchering this name, so I don't know anything about the Real Housewives, if you couldn't tell. The reality TV star told the publication that he saw the inmates having group sex in the early hours of the morning while he was at Fort Dix. I got up at like 3 or 4 in the morning to go to the bathroom, and you would see the craziest things in there. People you would never imagine, he recalled. The guards hear the shower going at night, and they just look the other way, he claimed. Things would be all bad for the I'm Coming Home rapper. As Giudice explained, the prison cell comes with the same level of comfort, as he'll have the opportunity to pay for services such as security and also get his shoes shined. You can get your clothes tailored and chefs making food for you. That's just how it is, he said. According to Us Weekly, another former inmate opened up about the horrible living conditions Diddy is likely facing there. So it sounds like Diddy will fit right in. It sounds like there's going to be freak offs in the showers there. He just needs to bring his own baby oil. So, according to what's this guy's claiming, anyways, we'll see. I don't know. Here's another former inmate opened up about the horrible living conditions. He spent 17 months at Fort Dix between 2019 and 2020. He said that the jail only comes with one bathroom per floor, and most of the toilet utensils are not working. There's only one bathroom per floor with the toilet. Sorry. There's one bathroom per floor with toilets and showers, and everything is broken. A lot of the food is expired. It's horrible. They don't care, the former prisoner said. I was there a day and a half, and I told a kid I just met, this ain't a jail, this is an insane asylum, he agreed. It's a zoo, he claimed. The rapper has been jailed for over a year. Diddy has been in the news for his legal battles and subsequent incarceration after he was arrested in September last year. The Bad Boy Records founder faced a trial on charges bordering on sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution, but was acquitted on the first two serious crimes. He was, however, found guilty on 2 counts of prostitution-related charges, was sentenced to 50 months, $500,000 fine, and let's see. Diddy settles into new prison life, mingles with inmates. Diddy has since settled into new life with the low-security prisons. Photos obtained by TMZ showed him chatting and smiling with a group of men out in the prison yard. He donned a gray sweatsuit set with sneakers and paired it with a matching head warmer and blue coat. So he's dressing snazzy in the yard. The rapper's gray beard was apparent as he chatted with other inmates and even appeared to shake hands with one of the men who seemed happy to have them in his company. Diddy is expected to appeal his 50-month sentencing after a judge ruled for the appeal process to be expedited, but reports suggest he's already bragging to his fellow inmates that President Donald Trump would pardon him next year. The rapper also reportedly promised to take care of inmates from the outside once he is pardoned. Recently, Diddy was hit with an extension on his prison time as his release date was changed from May 8th, 2028 to June 4th, 2028. Although no official reason for the change has been given, it followed reports that Diddy was caught drinking alcohol. So this next article gets into that. USA Today. Diddy sees his prison release pushed back amid alleged alcohol consumption. This article is by Kimmy Robinson. Sean Diddy Combs' prison release date has been pushed back by nearly a month. The 56-year-old, who is behind bars in New Jersey's Fort Dix as he serves a 50-month sentence for his conviction on prostitution charges, was previously scheduled for release on May 8th, 2028. However, Bureau of Prisons website now shows an anticipated date of June 4th. Reason for the change was not immediately available. In a November 13th statement to USA Today, Benjamin O'Cone of the Bureau of Prisons Office of Public Affairs said, "For privacy, safety, and security reasons, we do not discuss the conditions of confinement for any individual release plans, timings, or procedures, or whether particular individuals or subjects of allegations, investigations, or sanctions." However, the Bureau of Prisons shows that date has been changed. So they reached out for a comment. Inmates' anticipated release dates often fluctuate with good behavior and time served, usually advancing their release dates. The update comes days after Combs' representative denied a report that claimed the Bad Boys record founder, who had been incarcerated since September, had created and consumed alcohol in prison. A spokesperson spokesperson at Fort Dix said, "We have no knowledge of this information. Further, we would not be able to disclose any information pertaining to internal inmate matters. It would not be public information." In a letter to the judge ahead of his sentencing, Combs said he got sober for the first time in 25 years, had been attending therapy, and started a mentorship program for his fellow inmates. Combs' lawyers plan to appeal his conviction. According to a notice of his appeal filed with the U.S. District Court in the Southern District of New York on October 20th, Combs, who has denied all allegations of sexual misconduct, is still facing upwards of 70 civil lawsuits across the country. And as we've already discussed, he's hoping he's going to get acquitted, or he's going to get pardoned. So, yeah, I mean, the likelihood with the change, it's possible. It could have been just a clerical error. They didn't add his time up correctly or something. It could be something as simple as that. It could be something disciplinary. It could have been a result of the phone call. Um, well, they said probably not the phone call, because with that they weren't suggesting anything with his time. They were just suggesting that he lose commissary and one other thing. So they weren't saying there was going to be anything that punitive, I guess, with his sentencing. So for something that serious to move his date back, it would have to be either they didn't either the math wasn't mathing, they didn't calculate things correctly when they did his sentencing and stuff, and they went back to correct that later on, um, or it was what they said. It was something serious like contraband. And as of right now, they say he's still in the RDAP program, but that's something that could easily be pulled for something as serious as drinking in jail. Making your own Pruno could get you pulled from that program. Um, if it's one thing to be in jail and trying to come up with programs for your fellow inmates. It's another thing to be the one that's serving them alcohol. So it's quite a bit different. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Mr. Diddy. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with everything, but yeah, I guess one other thing here, Corrections 1 brings up too that one of the other things that Diddy's doing here at Fort Dix says he was assigned to laundry duty. Um, and it clarifies that the RDAP program that he's involved in actually doesn't, it keeps him out of general population. So it's pretty prestigious thing that he's involved in. So, um, But yeah, he started in the laundry and worked his way up to being um, working as the chaplain's assistant. Um, Said that the 55-year-old disgraced Bad Boys record mogul will be stationed in the laundry room, a far cry from the height of his hip hop and entrepreneurial glory days. Um, he will reside in the Special Drug Program unit rather than amongst the general population. It quotes him here. It says, I'm not this larger than life person. I'm just a human being. I get lost in the excess. I got lost in my ego. An emotional Combs said earlier this month at his sentencing. I lost my career. I totally destroyed my reputation, but most of all, I lost my self respect. I hate myself right now. I have been stripped down to nothing. I really am truly sorry for it all, no matter what they say. Combs was facing life behind bars had he been found guilty on all counts for sex trafficking and racketeering when he concluded in early July. The charges stem from freak-offs or elaborate sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, and often electronically recorded. But he's innocent, of course, even though he said he's sorry. He claims that he's innocent. So I don't know how both of those things can be true. It's like either you did it or you're innocent. I don't know. Something else. I mean, I guess that shows a little bit of self-awareness, being like, "Hey, my, you know, my ego got, I got caught up in it. My ego, I got caught up in things and lost sight of myself, and I've lost everything." Like that sounds like he understands where he's at, but I don't know. Kind of hard to tell. Kind of hard to tell if he is really repentant or not, but who knows? All right. Well, we've come to the part of the episode that everybody's been waiting for, the Jake joke. What do you call a robot that takes a long way around? R2 detour. What does an accountant in Prague do? He balances his checkbooks. I know. I know. It's rough. I don't know if I told you guys this, but once I was in a corn maze, I felt like I was being stalked. It was eerie. Okay. I think that's quite enough Jake jokes for the day. To be saying Jake jokes out into the ether. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thank you once again for your continued patronage, for keeping the show going. Um, I may be doing um, some stuff with the show. Been kind of considering doing some more stuff with YouTube, kind of expanding a little bit, doing some more content for YouTube, possibly expanding a little bit that way. So I'll kind of let you guys know what's going on with that. So Spotify will always be a thing. We'll have, exclusive stuff for Spotify, exclusive content. Maybe we'll expand a little bit for you guys that have been um, Spotify and Apple listeners, um, because that's kind of been our main thing this whole time. So we appreciate you guys. We will keep that going, but we may kind of expand the hard time universe a little bit here and try to add to add to things. Been kind of a side gig for me, but I've never really. There's been spurts where we've kind of put a little bit more into it. I mean, we used to do 2 episodes a week, um, which was a lot. It was a lot for John and I to do back in the day, to coordinate to get that much stuff done. And it's probably something that I'm going to be doing again, doing some more content, doing some more episodes, doing some more lives, um, doing some more things. So stay tuned for that. And then I may be doing some appearances on some other shows. We may be doing I may do some collaboration with some other YouTubers and other podcasts and stuff, to try to kind of have some cross pollination. So to see if that helps to kind of expand what we've got here, because like John was saying, we found our audience on Spotify. We appreciate all you guys, but we'd like to try to grow. They say if you're not growing, you're dying. So we'd like to grow the show and see if we can make it more successful, make it more of a thing. So ultimately, that means I need to do more, because I have not been putting my nose to the grindstone. So John has been responsible for, the episode art. He's been responsible for the artwork for the shows. He's done the intros, and he's done all the things for the channel. And I would just show up, and that's all I did was show up. So I need to do more for Hard Time. So I will promise, and I will be here to do that, to do more. So I've been learning how to do more, and I will do that for you guys. So I appreciate each and every one of you. And from me to you, I will say goodbye, Jake.